You're going through a process.
Amen.
Now, it's going to happen out here. When we get to the 6,000 years, it's going to happen anyway. But it can happen for us first, simply because we become a part of the process. In other words, we start working with management. Because what we've been doing is we've been working against management, because what happened to us when we made the decision is that we have this will that is apart from his, that goes against it. And what we need to do is we need to develop, again, a will that's in harmony with him. So he's bringing us back into his will.
Yeah.
And he's causing us, again, to want to do it. And again, when we start to talk about that, we start to talk about something that's very important. And that is to bring our words in harmony with his words.
Yeah.
Amen.
So Isaiah 5:20. Going through a process.
Amen.
And again, this is why when he talks about the second Egypt, man, he's talking about right here. We get the power, we get this ability, but what it does is it causes us to descend, because it's the power being exercised by the ego. So the ego wants everything that it desires, and what it desires is opposite of a card, remember?
Amen.
You have a card at the top, he creates something opposite at the bottom, which is the ego. And the ego has opposite desires.
Amen.
And so when we get power, then what we start doing is wanting what is opposite.
Amen.
And that brings us a whole lot of problems. Again, just follow your history. Because your history will show you that we're in a process.
Amen.
Things are not happening in a random way.
Amen.
Nothing is like that.
Amen.
Everything is carefully calculated to bring us to the goal of creation, because again, he ain't going to be denied. And what he said is, I'm making you in our image and in our likeness, and you will be a visible manifestation of that. But you got to follow the history. And you'll see it. You'll see that we're in this process. You'll see that right now you can engage with the process, and by engaging with the process, reach the goal of creation or become a visible manifestation of Ikar in this realm.
Yeah.
That's what this is about. So we get to Pesach, we're talking about this stuff. I shall, because that's what he's doing. I shall. He's the one that's doing all the movement.
Amen.
But there's one thing you got to realize, and that is, again, this world that we got to master is the speaking world. So Isaiah 5:20 says something that's going to happen during this time that I want you to think about. Notice what it says. Woe to those who say that evil is good. Say.
Amen.
See, sometimes we say the opposite of what we see.
Amen.
I learned one thing. People want to know, what do you do, Rabbi? I just simply say what I see.
Amen.
But I ain't going to say what's opposite.
Amen.
If that's good, I'm going to say that's good. If that ain't good, I'm going to say that ain't good.
Amen.
Because I know, again, that what I'm speaking is going to have a profound effect on reaching this goal.
Amen.
So I don't want to say the opposite.
Amen.
I don't want to flatter you. If you dress nice, I'm going to tell you you dress nice.
Amen.
If what you cooked ain't good, I'm going to tell you it ain't good. But I'm not going to flip it around.
Amen.
Because you have to learn to say what you see. Because that's what he's doing here. He's teaching us something. So notice how he says this. Woe to those that say that evil is good and good is evil, who make darkness into light and light into darkness, and make bitter into sweet, and sweet into bitter. Why am I doing that? What world am I mastering?
Speaking world.
The speaking world. And in mastering the speaking world, because it's already predetermined that it's going to take me in a certain direction, if I want to move in harmony with that, I've got to say what it's saying or what it's showing me. Remember what we were talking about when we talked about the desires? The desires are affected by our perception of things. I mean, if you got correct perception, it's going to go into your memory. But if you got incorrect perception, that's going to go into your memory too. If you have sleep, it's in your memory. If you remember the sleep. I mean, if you have dream, it goes into your memory. If you have imagination, it goes into your memory. All of that stuff goes into your memory, but when it comes back out, it comes out as desire. So if I want to correct my desires, then what do I do? Very simple. Say exactly what I perceive. Don't say something different. I mean. That's why flattery with the Jew is no good. We're not going to flatter you and tell you you're okay to make you feel good if you ain't okay. I mean, we want to say exactly what we see. It takes us down the pathway. It takes us down the pathway. Now, let's look at something else, because if I go down that pathway, it's going to take me to where death is eliminated. So let's read that. 25. So in this process, I'm working with him. Everybody say, I'm working with him.
I'm working with him.
Remember what he told us through Moshe? He said that when you met me, you didn't see anything. You just heard words. So I got to work with words. I got to begin to understand the power of them and their ability to aid me in reaching the goal. That's why you don't want no bad doctor report. Because that ain't what he's saying. That's why Isaiah, ran around and said something like this. Whose report are you going to believe? Which one you going to agree with? It's very important. Words are established through agreement. Let's just talk about it, because you got to think about where we are now. We have knowledge now. We're talking about transforming desires. How you going to really transform a desire? You got to talk to yourself. You got to quit running around here, you know what I'm saying, and agreeing with everything that's going on and saying, hey, this ain't no good. I don't care what the atmosphere is saying. Because his whole idea is to bring us in harmony with him. And what he desires for us is life and fullness of joy. So I got to start agreeing with him. That's what Torah is about. Got to agree with him. I'm not going to run around here. You know what, matter of fact, it don't make any difference whether my body agrees or not. Because we know how he changed things. When he wanted light and it was dark, he changed things by doing what? Speaking. When he wanted things that were firm, he changed that which was not firm by doing what? Speaking. How did he do the vegetative world? Same way. The animate world, the same way. Why? Because we're supposed to be in the same thing. You are never without hope by virtue of the fact that you're never without his words if you listen to Torah. More Torah, more life. Well, what is Torah? Words. It's words. Come on, it's just words. You know what I'm saying? But there are words that if I go from the branch to the root, they're not just words now, but they also become instructions. So we got to understand that. We got to begin to go, you know what? See, we're inundated with bad conversation. You turn on the television, and they give you all of these commercials about pills that's supposed to heal you here and make you sick there. About insurances that's called life, but really is dealing with death. We're getting all these kinds of things. We're inundated with it, and the problem with us is we are agreeing with it, and we don't realize that in the mouth of 2 or 3 witnesses, every word is established. So that what we come to in this final hour is how to agree with what he is saying rather than to deal with what we are sensing.
Yes.
Because guess what? There's a barrier between getting from here to here. It's called moxon. And moxon is simply your 5 senses. With your 5 senses, you just can't comprehend this. So the moment that they fell out there in the garden, it says that they started dealing with 5 senses. The eyes of both of them were open. And they knew that they were what? They started dealing with their senses, and they stopped dealing with what Icard was saying. Matter of fact, what they started doing with Icard is hiding from him. The words that you speak, if they are his words, will be life. Sometimes you just have to realize that, when you're dealing with your mind, you need to speak words of life into your mind. You got to quit agreeing with all this destruction that we're seeing. And you got to begin to go, you know what? There's something that's higher than that. And that's what I'm going to start agreeing with. But where's it going to lead me? To chapter 25. Chapter 25.
Yes.
And don't get mad, because my name is Moshe. And I'm supposed to put blood over your doorposts. So that the death angel can pass over.
Amen.
So don't get mad. Because that's what we're talking about. It's exactly what we're talking about. Putting something up over it. But it's a process. And I want you to see the process, and I want you to see that when they came out, again, the first time they came out of Egypt, they didn't go up here. They didn't do that at all. And you're going to say, well, again, why did God do that? So that we'd be able to define what, again, liberation really is. In other words, I'm not going to be under the power of the oppressor. But now we got to come right back around, because our history repeats itself. The thing that has been is the thing that shall be. Why did it repeat itself? The first time I got the definition. Now the second time I'm going to embody it. And when I embody it, I'm going to reach the goal of creation, which is to manifest the regeneration. And that's what he's talking about. So we can't do Pesach without talking about this. We can't. I mean, you can talk about it way back then, but you're going to be dealing with, again, just coming out of Egypt. And I'm telling you, there's another Egypt that you got to come out of. It's the second one. And everybody says, well, okay, but they said that they took us over there in ships. And so the first thing that they want to point at is, the slave ships. Well, wait a minute. Don't you realize that even the Europeans went over from Africa across the Mediterranean on ships? Because that's not what it's talking about. It's just like, you know what? When you have something shipped to you, let me just say that to you, that doesn't mean it's necessarily going to come on a boat. See, the ship that brought us into the problems, or into this Egypt right now, is something very important to understand. And that is, it was the desires of this world.
Yes.
That's what shipped us
How many?
into these different places. Not boats.
Nope.
We went on boats everywhere we went almost. See, we forget that part of it. You know what I'm saying? We just want to look at one particular part. But let me tell you something that happened to everybody. If you just walk there, this still happened to you. And that is that these desires that are of this world is what put us out here in the land of the captivities.
Yeah.
And don't get mad at me. I'm just a history student.
How many?
Don't get mad. I'm just telling you what happened. You know what I'm saying? And I know how, we're going to try to make it slant this way or make it slant that way. And we've missed the real shipping process. What really happened after the pattern.
How many?
It was the ego that took us out here. You can call it idolatry, you can call it whatever you want to call it. But it's all one thing. And that is, it took us into a place where we can begin to recognize that what's on the inside of us needs to change.
Yeah.
How many?
It's hard, y'all, to stand in this position. It is. It's not an easy thing. Makes you sweat. It do. Man, I'm sweating up a storm last night. The moment I sit down, sweat stops.
How many?
I'm standing before you right now, and I'm telling you, man, sweat is going all over the place. The moment I sit down, I know it's going to stop because it's hard.
How many?
But again, it's because you're on the cutting edge. You know, if you have an axe and you're getting ready to chop down a tree, where do you think all the force is at? On the blade. And if you're on the cutting edge of something, where do you think all the force is at? It's on you. The Jew first. I like when he sings about you got to believe the impossible. But it's not so impossible if you look at the chart. You can see that we're moving in harmony with it.
How many?
Now where are we going? Let's go on and read this so we can bring Pesach to a crescendo. It says in chapter 25, verse number 6. And again, it's him dealing with the process. It says, Hashem, master of legions, will make for all the nations on this mountain a feast of what?
Fats.
And a feast of leaves. Rich fats and concentrated leaves. On this mountain he will eliminate the covering that covers all the people and the mask that masks all the nations. What's covering us is the ego. That is not who we are. He will eliminate death forever. One more time. And let me go with this, because I'm just seeing. Not here, but here. What's happening here? Through space and time, as he's got us on this journey. And in this journey, he's taking us to liberation. And the liberation that I'm speaking about is that of the soul. Because the soul is what's covered. The soul is one with the car. The soul has all of the qualities of a car. You got it with you right now. But it's covered. And what he's doing is he's eliminating this covering by doing what? Transforming it. So that it manifests like him. And we're a part of this process. Because we got these desires that's going on the inside of our hearts. And we can see here. We have other different techniques in order to see that we can begin to speak to them. Speak to them. Well, you're like the Creator. If you want light and it's dark, what do?
Speak to me.
Speak to it. Why can't you do that? Aren't you an individual aspect of Him?
Amen.
Yes, you are. So that as these desires come before you, you speak to them. You don't call good evil.
Amen.
And you don't call evil good.
Amen.
You don't call sweet sour, and vice versa. You got to just simply say what it is. In other words, He didn't make it rocket science. He made it something that you could simply deal with. The things that's pricking me, well, I'm certain that darkness must have pricked Him because He said, let it be light.
Amen.
I can recognize those things here and begin to speak to myself here and transform those things here and reach the goal of creation, and that is to pull off the covers that's covering me, because what I did was I transformed the covering. It's about the transformation of covering. It's not about the slaughtering of the ego. It's never been about that.
Amen.
It's about the transformation of the ego. Let me grow it big enough to where it can hold me. That's what He's saying. And then, because you got free will, you can be a part of this process. And you can change it by what you say. Quit agreeing with them. Why do you think that we get worse when we get old? But He don't.
Yeah,
Because we're agreeing with something that we shouldn't be agreeing with. And we're not transforming the cover.
yes. Amen.
We're not dealing with the mask. And we deal with it through our words. Words. Why does next year have to be worse than this year? These babies, when they start growing up, they don't think like that. But man, after they had hung out with us for a while,
Amen.
they done took on that same type of education. And in that education, they began to become what they say. Got to change this.
Amen.
Got to change it about ourselves. There's not a person that's up under the sound of my voice right now that wants to die.
Amen.
Not one. And it's not His plan for you to that.
Amen.
He wants to eliminate it.
Yes.
And He ain't making it so that we don't understand it. He says that when this takes place, He says the entire earth will begin to be filled with His knowledge. His education. And this education is going to, again, become bigger and bigger and bigger until the entire earth is a manifestation of Him. And guess what? No wonder He said that all the nations of the earth will be blessed by you.
Amen.
Because you have been predetermined by Him to bring in this message. And not just to bring it in, but also to embody it.
Amen.
Got to believe what He's doing. Now, He ain't going to be denied, I tell you that.
Amen.
He going to get it done. So if He don't get it done with you, I mean, He still got some people He going to get it done with. I mean, and if He don't get it done with you this time, then maybe in the 6,000 year in which Abraham said it would all be done,
Amen.
it'll take place. But it will be done. Just remember what's going on. Process You didn't choose none of this, did you?
Amen.
You just kind of woke up where you were at. Woke up hungry. Woke up cold, needed some shelter. Because he made you like that. But he was growing you. Until we make it here. So there's 612 other points in your heart that you got to change now.
Amen.
So that you have all Tayyab Mitzvah. But you got to change the way that you're thinking. You do.
Amen.
Can't keep thinking like that. Can't keep looking forward to some misery. Can't continue to live hopeless as if things have to come to an end. Can't continue like that.
Amen.
That's not what this is about. He's too good.
Amen.
He's too good. And all he wants for you is goodness.
Yes.
So he said, and we read this last night, he said that this time when we come out dancing.
Amen.
Why wouldn't we come out dancing? Think about what we are being liberated from. Think about what incarcerates us. Nehalel
Hallelujah.
Nehalel
Hallelujah.
Nehalel
Hallelujah.
Am Yisrael Kai.
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 Amen.
Amen.
And call back the rabbis.